Have you ever stopped to reflect on how the environments you're in may be literally draining your energy, motivation, and destroying your life? That's right. Places you frequent, people you interact with, may be dragging you into a cycle of stagnation, frustration, and even destruction of your life's purpose. And the most alarming part, many times you don't even notice. You've become so accustomed to being surrounded by toxic people and negative environments that you've begun to believe it's normal. Let me tell you something, it's not normal. These environments are killing your peace, limiting your potential, and nullifying your identity. The Bible warns us about this in 1 Corinthians 15:33. Bad company corrupts good character. It doesn't matter if you think you're strong enough to resist. If you're surrounded by negative, victim-playing, manipulative or selfish people, that environment will corrupt you. And when you realize it, your life is completely stuck. There's no point in wanting to prosper, wanting peace, wanting to achieve your dreams if you're sinking into toxic environments. Your life will remain in this cycle of frustration until you do something to get out of those places that are destroying you. Here are 5 signs that you are trapped in a toxic environment. If you identify with any of them, it's time to make a radical decision because your life depends on it. 1. You're surrounded by negative people who always have a problem for every solution. You know the kind of person who, no matter what happens, always finds a reason to complain, who always turns any opportunity into a problem. These people never see the bright side of things and live buried in pessimism. The problem is that if you live with them, this negativity starts to contaminate you. Gradually, you become someone who can't see the solutions, the opportunities, the blessings that God is offering you. Your mind becomes filled with negative thoughts, and this paralyzes you. You find yourself stuck in place, trapped in a cycle of frustration and pessimism. If you are surrounded by this type of person, it's time to change. You need to be in an environment that inspires hope, optimism, not one that drags you down. Other people's negativity is destroying your vision of the future. 2. You're surrounded by people who always play the victim. You know those people who never take responsibility for anything? To them, it's always someone else's fault. The government, life, fate. They never stop to think about what they could have done differently because it's always easier to blame others. People like this are trapped in a cycle of victimhood, and if you live with them, you'll end up absorbing this mindset without even realizing it. Victimhood is a trap because it makes you believe that you're powerless in the face of life's situations. It makes you think that you have no control over your own story, and this completely paralyzes you. God called you to be an agent of change, to take responsibility for your actions and make the necessary changes. If you are surrounded by people who only play the victim, it's time to take action. You don't have to stay stuck in that cycle. It's time to seek out people who take responsibility and encourage you to do the same. 3. The people around you manipulate and use you for their own interests. Have you noticed that some people only reach out when they need something? These are the ones who emotionally manipulate you, who make you feel guilty or responsible for them. Manipulators are masters at distorting reality so that you do exactly what they want. And the worst part, many times you don't even realize you're being manipulated. You feel emotionally drained, exhausted, but you don't understand why. These people aren't interested in you, but in what you can do for them. This is extremely toxic. Manipulation destroys your confidence, makes you doubt yourself, and in the end, you're always the one who gets hurt. Be careful. If you're in an environment where you feel manipulated, it's time to leave. You weren't created to be a puppet in the hands of others. God called you to be free, to live according to His purpose, not to be controlled by people who only think of themselves. 4. You're surrounded by selfish people who only think about themselves. Environments where people only think of themselves are destructive. If you're surrounded by people who always put their own interests above everything, who show no empathy and are always more concerned with what they can get than with how they can contribute, you're being suffocated. Selfishness is poison for healthy relationships because it destroys any possibility of collaboration or mutual support. You end up feeling small, disposable and worthless. What you need is an environment where people care about each other, where there is empathy, where mutual support is the foundation. If you're always sacrificing yourself for others, but no one cares about you, that's a clear sign you need to leave that environment. Selfishness is destroying you. 5. Your identity is being erased, and your potential is being stifled. This is one of the most devastating signs that you are in a toxic environment. If you're in a place where your ideas are ignored, where your voice has no space, where your potential is underestimated, that environment is killing who you really are. God created you with unique gifts and talents, and He wants you to develop them. But if the environment you're in makes you feel smaller, makes you believe your ideas and talents aren't enough, then that place is destroying everything God has placed inside you. You were created to shine, to grow, to impact lives. If the place you're in is dimming your light, it's time to leave. You need an environment that values who you are, that encourages you to use your talents, and that pushes you to grow. Don't let a toxic environment extinguish your light. Now that you've recognized these signs, the question you need to answer is, what are you going to do about it? Will you continue allowing toxic environments to destroy your peace, erase your identity, and sabotage your future? Or will you make the courageous decision to walk away and seek places that promote your growth, your freedom, and your relationship with God? The change depends on you. The Bible gives us powerful guidance on this. In Proverbs 13:20, it is written, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." This means that the environment around you shapes your character, your thoughts, and inevitably, your destiny. You need to walk with people and be in environments that elevate your purpose, bring you closer to God, and inspire you to be the best version of who God created you to be. It's time to make a choice. Your life depends on it. If you want to live a full life, filled with peace, growth, and purpose, start today by changing the environments you're in. Seek out places where you are valued, where you can flourish, where your gifts and talents are used for God's glory. Remember, your life will only change when you make the move to distance yourself from what destroys you and get closer to what strengthens you. Ephesians 5:11 also warns us, "Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them." This means you must walk away from everything that does not bear fruit, from everything that keeps you in the darkness of negativity, manipulation, and selfishness. God has called you to live in the light, to thrive in environments that generate life, not destruction. Don't delay this decision any longer. Leaving toxic environments could be the most important step you need to take for God to begin transforming your life and leading you to the purpose He already has for you. Today is the day to choose environments that promote your transformation.